Can you just right? I can see your face.
I like the breezy flags. That's not what you said. Well, that's what it was. Come on. I thought you said breezeways.
All right, I call to order the Millersville Board of Commissioners regular meeting Tuesday, September 18, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. Everyone, please stand.
Father, we just want to bow in your presence this evening to say thank you that our mayor's here. Thank you that Miss Bonnie's here. Thank you for your blessings on them, even in the midst of loss and suffering and hurt. They're here to serve you and to serve this community. We thank you for that. And may we never take for granted for a minute the privilege that's ours as citizens to participate in the affairs and events of our communities across this country that we call America. The land of the free, the home of the brave. We thank you for it, for every single person that's fought, bled, and died to keep us where we are. Bless America today. Bless this community. Bless this meeting as we meet together. We give you praise and thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 3, approval of the minutes from the August 21st, 2018 regular commission meeting. Call for a motion.
August 21st, 2013.
I'll go ahead and second the motion, but found a mistake in here. Under ordinance 18702, number 5, it has me, special call meeting on the city. Commissioner Gray made a motion to approve the minutes,
This is the regular commission meeting.
and also showed this by second motion. On August the 6th. So I don't know if I made the motion or if I seconded the motion. Well, somebody else seconded the motion, so I don't think that's what I'm saying. That was the only mistake I found.
All right. Okay. All right, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, approve the August 2018 financial report. Call for a motion.
We approve the August 2018 financial report as presented.
Second the motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 5 is some public hearings. I'll open each one up for public hearings. Anyone who wishes to speak. First one is comments and questions concerning the city's application to the Tennessee Department of Transportation for federal grant funds to assist in the development of the US 31W sidewalk project. I'll open the public hearing.
Okay, just to give you guys a brief background of what's going on, the city is applying for a grant through the Tennessee Department of Transportation for funding towards the construction of sidewalks along both sides of Louisville Highway from the community center to the elementary school. This project had received this same grant a couple of years ago, and due to the federal transportation bill, there was an issue with the funding and it got rescinded, and the city ended up giving it back, so we are reapplying. In the meantime, we've received a grant from the Nashville Metropolitan Planning Organization for about $740,000 towards the design and CDI. The city has already spent some local funds on beginning the environmental studies and surveying. Design plans are not underway. We expect the project to mostly be contained within the existing right-of-way. However, there could be instances where we need to acquire some additional right-of-way along the corridor, along with construction easements. But until design plans are available, those specific impacts won't be known. But the intent of the project at this time is to construct 5-foot sidewalks, approximately 2 to 4 feet off the edge of the pavement, maybe with some slight modifications to the lanes, but overall no major modifications to the roadway itself, just to improve pedestrian connectivity in the heart of the city. So with that, if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer. Yes, sir.
Larry, Penny, come on 5 Echo Line. Are you saying on both sides of the road you're gonna do that?
Or that is the intention,
also?
is for both sides of the road.
Looks like that, some of them businesses down that way and some homes are too close.
So originally the plan was for under the original application was for a 10 to 12 foot multimodal pathway. That has since been revised to a 5-foot sidewalk immediately adjacent to the edge of the road. But partly because of those homes and businesses' proximity to the road, until the actual grading plans are established, we won't know exactly, but we don't anticipate coming too far up into the yard. But like I said, trying to work within the existing right of way. There will be an additional meeting once preliminary plans are completed for the public to review the plans and provide input at that time as well.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay.
Anyone else wishing to speak? None, I'll close that public hearing. Second one is Resolution 18-R-04A, a resolution calling for a public hearing on the proposed annexation of territory identified as Robertson County Map 126, parcel 059.00, into the city of Millersville by owner consent and plan of services. I'm now open for public hearing. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Third one, Resolution 18-R-05A, a resolution calling for a public hearing on the proposed annexation of territory identified as a portion of Robertson County Map 125, parcel 177.00, and map 125, parcel 085.00, into the city of Millersville by owner consent and plan of services. Now open the public hearing. Yes, ma'am.
Deborah Chadwick, 2253 Gideon Road. I just needed a little bit more clarity on where this piece of property is. I couldn't make out the roads, a lot of them, exactly where it is, and a little history, because I did notice on item number 8, they want to change zoning already. Where is it?
It's at?
Yes, sir, I do. This particular annexation includes 2 parcels. The larger of the 2 parcels, already about 7 acres is within the city limits. Overall, I think it's about 32 acres or 33 acres. Like I said, about 7 acres is in the city right now. The other 25 is in Robertson County. They're looking to annex that other 25 into the city. At the same time, they'd like to go ahead or separately rather, but at the same time, rezone the 7 acres that's in the city, which is actually portions of it abut. I have maps if you'd like to take a look at them.
What road is it on?
Bethel Road in South Mount Pleasant,
Right there?
right behind the Rooster Market.
Oh, right behind the store?
Yes, ma'am.
So then they will be asking for C1, which is what, light commercial, or what is that?
Yes, ma'am. That's your general commercial district that we
Okay.
have up and down 31 in most of the city.
And that's kind of mixed right in there on Mount Pleasant with residential, right?
It is, but if you, there's also a Baptist church there in the vicinity. That's zone commercial one right now, their entire parcel. And you also have the country store, the little rooster store, that's a commercial use. You have a daycare center over there, and I think there might be a barbecue place. There's a number of commercial uses there at that corner already. That I think in our long-range visioning is going to be a fairly major intersection someday down the road. Having commercial there is pretty reasonable expectation for that vicinity.
So this parcel is not that far right from Bethel Road in Mount Pleasant?
Actually, it connects to Bethel Road. There are portions that connect to Bethel and portions that connect to South Mount Pleasant.
Okay, I just wasn't exactly sure where it was, so I'm good.
Anyone else? I'll close the public hearing. Item number 6, approval of resolution 18R-048, a resolution calling for a public hearing on the proposed annexation of territory identified as Rockland County map 126, parcel 059.00 into the city of Millersville by owner consent and plan of services. Call for a motion.
Move that we approve resolution 18-R-04A, which is resolution calling for the proposed annexation of territory identified as Rockland County map 126, parcel 59 into the city of Millersville by owner's consent and plan of services.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, what I've just passed out is a summary that MTAS has prepared that lays out the best practices and a step-by-step process for owner consent annexations that they recommend to the city. Not all of those steps are required by state statute, but generally we're following their recommendations on how to follow through. It's a rather complicated process now that the state legislature enacted back in 14 and 15 that requires 2 separate resolutions by the legislative body. The first one that you're hearing tonight to vote on is a resolution for the public hearing for the second resolution. And also on the second resolution at the annexation, that also adopts what they call the plan of services, which lays out all of the typical municipal services that would be provided for property within a city. Obviously, we don't provide a lot of them, but the ones that we do, we need to lay out if we were to expand our systems to serve these areas. Fortunately, right now, they're abutting. Most of our systems, in particular sanitary sewer, either abuts the property or is very close to the property, but the state requires that we detail the municipal services and what's being offered and what's being committed to as part of the annexation. Again, it's a complicated process, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Yes.
The first annexation, if you will, is on South Swift Road. It's about an acre parcel. It is an enclave within the city. In other words, it is surrounded by city lands at this time. Again, there's sanitary sewer in the front. This won't be very impactful with our city services, including fire, police, et cetera, et cetera. So this is just a minor parcel to bring in, but in this case, the property owner wasn't able to get a septic system permitted through the county health department. So he needs to connect to our sewer systems to build a new house. And in fact, if I remember correctly, this is Miss Pearl's home, if any of you recall her name. They're gonna demolish that old home and build a new one there.
Anybody got anything else? Call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Item number 7, approval of resolution 18R-05A, a resolution calling for a public hearing on the proposed annexation of territory identified as a portion of Robertson County map 125, parcel 177.00, from map 125, parcel 085.00 into the city of Millersville by owner consent and plan services. Call for motion.
Move that we approve resolution 18-R-05A, which is a resolution calling for a public hearing on the proposed annexation of territory identified as a portion of Robinson County map 125, parcel 177, and Robinson County map 125, parcel 85, into the city of Millersville by owner consent and plan of services.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 8, first reading of ordinance 18-705 to rezone a portion of the parcel known as Robertson County map 125, parcel 177.00, from residential R1 to commercial C1. Call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 18-705.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Question. Can we do that? Do we, my question is, we just approved the resolution calling for a public hearing for that particular parcel. Is it within the guidelines that the state has set out for to ask a pass on first reading, the rezoning of it?
Actually, the 7.68 acre parcel is already within the city.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that
if you
portion,
look at the graphic, that's the blue portion,
okay,
and the dashed line shows, where the city limit line bisects that 33 acre parcel.
so number 8 is actually, it's a portion of Robinson County map 125, 177.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that portion is already within the city limits.
It is from 1996.
And number 7, where we call for resolution for public hearing to annex, that's the other portion of Robinson County map 125, parcel 177.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Anything further? None, call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 9, approve proposal from OHM to provide assistance related to the 2019 Transportation Alternative Program Grant application. Call for a motion.
Trying to remember what that was, when I asked the motion,
I think it's the sidewalk.
I'll take that one in. I'll make a motion for approval of the proposal for OHM to provide assistance relating to 2019 Transportation Alternative Program Grant application.
I'll second the motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Is that 50 each grant or 80, 20? And we have not heard back from the other $1 million grant we applied for that was actually a 95%, 5% match.
The MPO, Metro MPO.
That is through the MPO, yes.
We're getting trying to
We already got the one for 740,000.
This is additional MPO.
So we have another grant in play, but to make sure that we have adequate funding, we're requesting this TAP grant. But staff needs some help with updating the exhibits and some of the narrative as well as the construction cost estimates. So we're looking to OHM to help us finish preparing the package on that to submit October 3rd.
Since we're applying for 2, there was one coming due in December. Which one was supposed to come due in December?
The one that Mr. Pelosi just referenced for some 700, that was one of the last applications that came in.
That's the 80-20.
That is an 80-20, yes. And actually, it's 835,000 was what the grant amount was.
On the MPO.
On the MPO money that has been awarded. It now goes to TDOT to forward to FHWA, the feds for their review, then it comes back to TDOT. That 835,000 should be ready for us to begin spending either late December or early January.
Did the MPO give us that money because of the environmental study that we done?
They didn't give it to us because of that, they gave it to us because they felt the project was worthy enough on a state and federal highway.
But they also felt like the city was serious.
Absolutely, because we have $70,000+ already spent of our own money, and the desire is to move forward with the project. Plus, it benefits us right now too on this application that you're approving the consultant to help us with. Since we already have spent that $70,000, we have $835,000 that's already been granted towards it as well. They're showing that there is interest and there's commitment to the project between the city and the MPO. So we're pretty confident, and this is essentially the grant to hopefully replace the grant that we surrendered because of the timing issue.
And the 12 foot on the west side, that was.
Well, that modification was a city decision, that didn't have any bearing on the grant.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
But it'll make that project more, or rather less impactful on the property owner.
We don't have to change the bridges down there.
We're not sure yet, we need to get into design to see that.
With this money, the TDOT money, the 80/20, or I'm most for the 95, but 80/20, that also includes not only for the sidewalks, but, you know, I think we mentioned it at the board for years, that we would have some kind of beautification along with that. Is that money also going to be?
There are some streetscape enhancements, type benches, furnishings, landscaping, street trees,
That's good.
that kind of things included in the project budget estimate and in the stated goals of the project. Now, where we fit those in and how we balance that against preserving private property and working within existing right of way, that would be something we have to address during design and work with you guys to get. And I wanted to clarify one thing that Michael mentioned about the $70,000 that's already been spent. The city has contracted up to $70,000, but to complete the survey and to get to where we are in the environmental study, we've actually only spent about 50 of that 70. And we haven't, so when Michael and I found out that there would be a delay in the project, we said, well, let's not finish that environmental study yet. There's multiple reasons why not to do that. And we can hold that $20,000 off. And that now, if we wait until after the grant is awarded, even though that $20,000 is already contracted, it hasn't been spent yet, the services haven't been rendered, that $20,000, or it's 15 or 20, somewhere in that range, we'll be able to count towards the match. So I know there had been some concern about none of that counting towards the match, so we were able to, for a portion of that is going to be eligible towards the 20% match.
We'll be hearing about the 80/20 in December. What about the 95/5?
I haven't heard a timeline. And to be completely honest, that was a highly competitive grant that we threw our name in the hat because it was so attractive and it had pretty specific requirements that we actually met. But the way it works is eligible cities apply through the MPO, and then the MPO selects 3 to send to TDOT, and then TDOT takes from those 3 and selects 1 to 3 to award statewide from all the MPOs, RPOs. So it was a highly competitive grant that we probably have for a long shot contender for, but we figured it out.
Yeah, I like it. I appreciate you doing that. I like doing that.
Very good.
Anything else? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 10, awards bid for the gravity sewer rehabilitation project to Bobby Latrell and Sons, LLC. Call for a motion.
Move that we award the bid for the gravity sewer rehabilitation project to Bobby Latrell and Sons LLC. They were the lowest investment.
Yeah. I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 11, approved proposal from OHM to provide construction management and construction, engineering, inspection services related to the gravity sewer rehabilitation project. Call for a motion.
I move that we approve the proposal from OHM to provide the construction management and construction engineering inspection services relating to the gravity sewer rehabilitation program.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I read here there's $6,500. That's what is that based on what we achieved?
That's what that's what the grant is.
Oh, that's okay.
This one's 51,000.
Let's see, man. That's what the grant is.
And just as a side note, the award that you just made to Bobby Littrell for the utility work actually came in under budget. So we're identifying some additional work that can be performed because the state prefers that we spend all of the $518,000 of the state revolving fund dollar, those monies that they set. So it looks like we have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 60, I believe. About 60,000 that were under budget. So we'll be finding additional work on the project to perform. So hopefully we make our sanitary system even more efficient and functioning than what we originally planned.
So is that the first phase from that end, from this way?
Yes, sir. Yes, and then also goes over the hill to the other side on Williamson.
Anything? None, call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 12, is citizens' comments. Anyone has anything they'd like to say?
Robert Lloyd, Davy Road. I've got a question which I'd like to get answered tonight. I've lived on Davy Road for the neighborhood of 20 years. 15 of those 20 years we've had on Davy Road was, I'm gonna call it a landfill. I've seen, and there's been at least 1,000 truckloads of fill that have come in through the years on that street. And it's quite annoying between the dump trucks and the tailgate slamming and the machines up there pushing these piles back, usually about once a month. My biggest problem is the mud that's being tracked out after a rainstorm, the mud that's tracked out on Darby Road. And it actually carries on right out on the mountain road. A lot of this mud is the size of footballs which come off the wheels of these trucks. And if you go up there today, it's just a dust bowl. We did have some good sized potholes up there, which I brought to the highway department's attention this spring, and we had holes inside that you could bury a small tool. Anyways, the highway department came up and put some blacktop in those holes. And right now, it's just a dust bowl, but as soon as we get some more rain, we're gonna have some more chunks of mud, and it's just gonna continue. It's been going on for years and months. Anything we can do to at least curtail the mud and the dirt on the street. I don't know if we can do anything about the landfill part, but there's not
I believe they're currently looking into certain things that they're ignoring.
Yes, sir, we are. We've asked our friends at TDEC, the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, for assistance on this. They generally are the big stick, whereas the city is the little stick, because really all we can enforce is the stormwater violations that occur because of the dust and the dirt and the mud on the road. We're doing some research to try and figure out if there were permits for this early on. We're having a difficult time with our files and ascertaining that, but you're right, this has been ongoing for many years, well before I came to the city. But we want to make sure our ducks in a row before we get out there and start pushing people around and being the big bad cop.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Deborah Chadwick, 2253 Gideon Road. Two things. The last planning commission meeting, the BZA meeting, that didn't get recorded. That wasn't on YouTube. We couldn't make the meeting.
Because it was down at the community center.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. We weren't able to set up a videos for it. However, we will upload the audio
Okay,
to the YouTube site where we maintain those records.
okay.
I have a copy if you like. I can burn you a CD or DVD.
Okay, we just couldn't get to it. And the second thing, I would just like to keep alive the talking and keep it on the table about a traffic light at Bethel Road. I would hate to see that issue just
I think it
disappear.
was scheduled to be on the last work session that got canceled, so I'll make sure that it's on the next work session.
Okay. It just seems like a grant or something could be done, some funds could be found somewhere. Okay.
We'll see what we can do.
At least one commissioner is a staunch advocate of life.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
that's a good sign.
Redheads on our thing.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Sherry Lewis, Millersville Library, 1174. Here's our stats for the month of August. There's also the September calendar, and some flyers for programs going on, including a partnership with Home Depot we have. Yeah. I got one extra if anyone wants one. Would you like one?
Sure. Thank you.
But the last page is a partnership with Home Depot. They bring supplies down every couple of months, to help or let kids build their own things with nails and hammers and the whole shebang. This month they're doing bookworm bookends. They look really cute. But we also have a new library manager. Her name's Melissa Clark. She was our assistant children's librarian. So the Summer County Library Board hired her in. So now we're also looking for a new assistant, if anybody is interested. We had 1,267 items checked out in August and 308 people attended our programs. The bad news is the last Thursday of August we were hit by lightning. And so a lot of stuff got fried in the library. Our computers, our TV, the modem went down. We've got about half the computers back up. It's kind of a Band-Aid on a bullet wound fix. We'll be able to buy the stuff we need with a grant starting October 1st. So we're still half down. And then last Wednesday at our board meeting that we hosted, our power went off, and when it came back on, our air stopped running. So we've got warm air blowing. When I left, my office was 87 degrees. So as my friend Barry Murphy decided to move in with us. But that's what's happened since the last time I saw you. If anyone has any questions.
Appreciate the update. Anyone else?
Okay. Last page, 105, they're going in. With this, going forward now on this, C1, C3 residential on Bethel Road, what does it look like for the, lights out on that interstate? That interchange is growing now.
It is. We're expecting this winter, the state to wrap up all of their early work and design and whatnot. I know they're out there pretty regularly. I've seen them. Their survey crews are cleaning up their plans right now. We expect it to be put out to bid probably December or January. And it'll be a pretty fast construction schedule, and we anticipate before summer we'll have those tower lights out there. We're thrilled.
Anyone else? All right. Commissioners, comments, David?
I'm good.
Thanks.
I'm good. Of course. Happy to see you back. Glad you survived.
I do want to thank the city, and I just can't go into it too much because then I'll be a little mess or whatever, but anyways. I do appreciate everybody coming out for my husband's funeral a couple of weeks ago, and I'm very grateful to see people, so.
We're thankful. That's what we do. Try.
I have one thing, the staff is looking for some direction from this board on how to move forward with some complaints on carports. It's been brought to the attention of, the codes department. I don't know what this is on Glenwood, about, carports and how we're gonna police them. I think, with talking to certain staff, I think we've had like 3 complaints in the last little while about carports. And they don't know how to go about fixing the problem. So,
It just looks like a garage.
well, there is no carport at that site. That was the site that was turned in, but there's no carport there.
Okay.
The carport's on a different site. The problem that staff has is they don't know when the carport went in. How does this board want our staff to police this issue? There's really only one way that the staff has talked to me about that they have of going back and checking, and that's from Google Earth. Look at a snapshot in 2012 or 2013 or 15 and compare it to shots that are there today. The carport in Bonnie's subdivision that's in question is, it's not on Glenwood, it's on Deepwood. I rode by and looked at it. I have no way of telling how long it's been there. I do believe it to be a improper carport based on our code. But I don't know how to go about telling staff how to police stuff like that. And I think they're at a loss.
I think the first thing they could do is ask the home occupant, when did you put this carport in? That would be the first thing that I would do. And whether or not, then I would double check to see, Google Earth or whatever. And you can ask for receipts, you can put it in yourself.
Well, are we, and again, this is what I get. Are we gonna start checking every piece, every parcel in the city by Google Earth?
What I'm saying is, well, I'm assuming that the point would be that the carports that our staff have looked at are obviously out of code with what currently exists in Millersville, correct? Yes. As such, those carports, go under the assumption they violate Millersville ordinances as it stands. It's a prima facie case, there's a violation. But if those carports were grandfathered in, then they would be allowed to continue their existence, correct? So therefore, ask the owner occupant, when did you put this carport in? And ask them, the burden gets shifted from the city, essentially, to the owner occupant to say, we're grandfathered in, otherwise it's a violation.
Let me answer this question real quick. We have this carport thing, of course, I have an issue with it, and as y'all know, I have 2 of those that are grandfathered in. So it seems to me that we need to have that newsletter that went out, the regular newsletter that was sent out to the city. And if this is an ongoing city issue, we need to either have it on our bill for a little while, for maybe a month or so, to put that out and let people know that carports now have to be permitted if they're a certain type and all that kind of stuff. And let the citizens know, because it is very difficult, because that situation happened with my neighbor. Carports were allowed. I have 2 of them. they see mine, they put one in, because at the time it was okay. Then we changed the ordinance, and then they put another one in, and they had to go in, and it was just a big mess. It was a huge mess. So if we're going to enforce carports, we need to go out to our citizens and let them know that they are no longer allowed, and the ones that are currently in are grandfathered in. So that way, we don't continue, this looks like it's a continued problem. And I can understand it, because I have 2 of them. So everybody else in my neighborhood is thinking, well, so-and-so has one, so-and-so has one, then evidently it's okay. So we need to let people know somehow, some way that they are no longer allowed in the city.
Actually, it would be, if I
Something.
may, it would be even more beneficial if we let our residents know that building permits are generally
Yeah,
required.
that's what I was
Or
gonna
that-
say.
Well, building permits, that one is bad.
It's, yeah, there seems to be a misunderstanding, among a lot of property owners that, well, a carport or a barn or shed doesn't require a building permit. So if we can make it clear that any new structures have to be permitted,
Yes.
at least at that point, at the contact, then we can let them know what is allowable and what is not.
Correct,
So probably broaden that picture even further.
that would be great. That would be great, but somehow we need to let these citizens know.
I thought notes had been in newsletters in the past about that.
You're always gonna have a few that are not going to see that, and they're gonna be unaware of it, and they're gonna say, I did not know. First, they're gonna say, I did not know I was gonna have to have a permit to put this carport here.
Right.
But once again, getting back to the original question of staff, you know, I think the burden is the property owner's burden to prove that it was grandfathered in, just like with Bonnie, when we asked Bonnie, those carports are illegal. You said a bad example, and Bonnie says, no, they were here long before the city was a city. I'm grandfathered in, and she is.
Well, what I'm talking about,
But you see what I'm saying, as a
Yeah.
commissioner, it's hard when other people
And it is
see
hard,
that. It is difficult.
getting rid of the carport's illegal. But how is staff gonna,
Right the letter.
okay, so are we gonna use Google Earth to determine whether permits were issued for
No.
other illegal activity?
We're just talking about
Can't do that.
carports right now.
What do you mean we can do that? It's a code violation, it's the same thing.
I know, but
If
we're
you
gonna,
have somebody come in and complain about a parcel owner that has a carport on there that's not allowed, and you have an individual come in and complain about that carport, and we're gonna let the codes people take Google Earth and go back and determine when that was put in.
No, I'm not saying
You have to, there's no other way.
No. Keep in mind, these carports that we're talking about are illegal, period.
Unless they're grandfathered in.
All right, but let's just say for the time being, they're illegal, according to our ordinances. So every carport, including Bonnie's, there is an assumption that that carport is illegal and violating Millersville ordinances. And the staff needs to use that as the first step. Now, the second step is just contact the homeowner and ask them, when did y'all put this in? And the burden is being shifted from the city staff proving that it is not grandfathered in or is grandfathered in to the homeowner proving that it is grandfathered.
Okay, what if the homeowner says it's been here for 20 years?
Then we'll check, if the staff wants to go further, we can go look at and check the records of the registered deeds office. You can get that, access that on your system that you have in there. Or when they want, and this, or just go to the trustee's office. Sumner County, Roxbury County trustee and tax assessor. They have the drawings of all the outbuildings, the building and the outbuildings. And that's all our staff has to do, is go to Sumner County tax assessor. And 1 year for the assessment is such and such, you'll have.
I don't think these carports fall under that.
Yeah, they do, and they include those carports.
I don't think so.
It goes on your taxes.
It goes on your tax.
I don't think so.
They show on, they're noted on the assessor's
Yeah,
website.
they're noted there.
On the
And you can
assessment.
do that, you don't need to do Google, just go
Except,
there. And that's,
except it will not tell us when it was.
well, the only thing you have to do is just look back a year before I mean, it's not that big. of a
We
deal.
don't have,
I do it.
I don't have
every day.
access to prior years.
Yeah, I do it all the time. If I wanna find out if a piece of property, if that's a mobile home on that piece of property, or if there was a stick-built house there, you know, I go to the assessor's office to determine that by the code, the abbreviations that are in there. And also, well, what if this house burned down and they replaced it with a mobile home? And the reason I use that example is because you have to affix through a legal process through the Department of Motor Vehicles, a mobile home to make it part of the land. And so that's one of the things I look at, and I go to the assessor's office to make that determination. And then if I need to go back the next year, I'll go back the next year, and if there's no answer there, well, I'll go back the next year. It's not that difficult. You know, I'll sit down with them and show them, but
With all due respect, Vice Mayor, that is a timely process.
it takes 15 minutes.
To drive there and
No,
back.
you do it on your computer. I do it on the computer.
We're not, I don't know,
I'll show you how to do it.
Please, thank you. Okay.
I do everything sitting at my desk. I'm not gonna drive down the gallery.
I wasn't aware that I could access prior years' assessments.
Well, you don't, well, you can call down there, just call down there, and they'll send it to you. They'll actually scan and send it to you. It's not, you know, seriously. I think that's best way. What I'm saying is, you know, that it's illegal until proven not illegal by the homeowner. And if they say, we've had it there for 20 such years, I say, well, we're gonna double check it. Because the neighbors that's complaining, they're gonna say, well, they just put it up last year. And you know that's what's gonna happen.
If you don't have neighbors complain.
Well, somebody's gonna say that was there, it wasn't there a year ago, and it's here this year. That's the whole point of the conversation with the staff, usually.
All I'm saying is, I know over the last little bit that these Google pictures have become very popular, and going back and researching property as to what was there and what's there now. You can take Google Earth. I can go back and catch anything that wasn't permitted for the past 10 years.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So is staff to go after people that's building structures illegally?
Oh, I don't think.
If they get a complaint?
I think if they get a complaint, they have to investigate it. I think that's the bottom line, where they can't ignore it.
That has been the direction to staff from this board.
And they need to, what I outlined, the method I outlined is the method of investigation that I would use if it were me. But what I'm saying is, you know, they're not sitting on the highway with a radar gun. They're getting, essentially, well, I know it's a bad example, but they're getting information from complainants that this guy has an illegal carport, and when that comes in, they are obligated to investigate it.
So if someone comes in, was to complain that there's I don't know, say there's a storage building that's been placed in front of the house versus in the rear of the house, and the staff went out and looked at it, and sure enough, there's a building in front of the house. How is staff to go about determining whether the building was put there before or after the current code?
I know what can ask the people. I'd say that it's illegal automatically because it doesn't meet code. Now, Mr. John Doe, you were the owner of this house. Now prove to me that it is here legal by showing me that it was grandfathered in. And Bonnie will do that, you know, when somebody comes up to her, that it was grandfathered in. I mean, and if you have to go to Google, yeah, but, you know, I don't like the idea of our staff having to go down there and do that, quite honestly. But I think they do have that obligation that if a complaint arises, they have to investigate it.
So if we have a citizen call in and complain that there was a structure built with no permit, then we're telling staff to use Google to go back
I
and
think-
determine when that structure was there and see if there was a permit issued for that structure.
No, let me just say this, I'm saying that, well, first off, if I'm investigating whether a structure is built there and shouldn't be built, I'm gonna look to see if there's ever a permit issued for that location. If there wasn't a permit issued for that location, I'm gonna go out to the site, I'm gonna look at the building and take pictures of it. And after I take pictures of it, I'm gonna contact the property owner and say, when did you build this? And the property owner is gonna tell me the truth, or he's gonna lie to me, one or the other. So if he tells me the truth, I'm still gonna go and double check. And if Google Earth is just one other tool that I'm going to use, I'll use Google Earth. But I'm going to also go to the tax assessor's office.
Well, I think that's what staff's looking for, is just, how does this board want staff? Because we've said in the past, we don't want staff actively out looking for violations.
I mean, if they run across them, they have an obligation, but no, I don't think they should be active.
But how do we want them, how aggressive do we want our staff to get if they have signed complaints? If they have a complaint that comes
I
in?
think if they have a signed complaint, in my opinion, if they have a signed complaint, they have to investigate to their fullest ability. If it means the tax assessor, if it means the register of deeds, if it means Google Earth, whatever is necessary, until they are satisfied that it either meets code violation or doesn't meet code violation. And if it doesn't, I think we should also tell the homeowner and the complainant, this doesn't violate because it's grandfathered in.
Can staff get some clarity on the term that each of you just used, signed complaints? Because at times we get complaints that are either anonymous or are unidentifiable.
I thought we were using signed complaints.
That's what I would rather have. I think if you're gonna complain on your neighbor, I think you ought to be willing to put your name out there.
I thought there was a discussion, wasn't there a work session?
There was, I don't recall the final direction of staff on that, and if you don't mind revisiting that. But I do want to throw out that currently we have a complaint process that's on our website that while it asks for the complainant's information, their name, phone number, email address, there's no surety that the information that they're providing is accurate. But it does get recorded, and in fact, those complaints come to both my office and the interim city manager's email. We both see those. But there again, we don't know if the contact information is correct by the complainer.
One of the things that you have already realized, and all of us realize because we've all been in business, you're gonna have people that just complain in order to retaliate against somebody that's done them wrong, or their ex-wife or husband, like what the police had to answer last week, or something. That's always gonna happen. So I guess what we have to figure out as a commission is how do we keep that in mind, that these things are going to occur, but at the same time be fair to everybody.
Well, I don't think it matters why they complain. If they complain and it's legitimate against the law,
But they're not gonna put their name to it.
oh, well, then I wouldn't
But
pay
then-
attention to it.
Yeah, but then some people are afraid to put their name to them because they've been threatened.
Then stay in your house and shut your door. Well, I don't know what else to say. I mean, if I don't like the color of Miss Chadwick's car and it offends me, I'm gonna go tell her. I ain't gonna go complain to her neighbor.
I'm sure you would.
I'm not gonna complain to her neighbor.
Tim, you are one of a kind, we know that, and I appreciate that, and I'm not being silly about that, but that's not the way a lot of people are.
I'm just saying, if the police officers write you a ticket going up down this road, you're breaking the law,
Listen,
and they sign your name to that ticket, when they come, if you come before the court, that officer's standing there ready to prosecute you. What is the difference if a citizen has something that's illegal, has done something that is against our code? Should he or she not have the same ability to look at who's accusing them of doing something wrong?
personally, yes, I agree with you. I agree that everybody has the right to confront their accuser. All right, that being said, you know where I come from on this. The point is, you're gonna have these situations that we, as commissioners, need to think about. And is there a way to remedy the problem? And there may not be, but we need to think about it. Because you're gonna have somebody that's afraid of their neighbor down the street because he's threatening his son has threatened their daughter or something like that, that's gonna happen. So how do you measure it? I'm like you, I think that everybody should have to sign off on a complaint. But you're gonna have, here's what's gonna happen, you're gonna have some legitimate complaints that come up that people won't sign off on.
Oh, I
Because they're
agree.
afraid of, so how do we balance that? That's my
There's
question.
some people over here where I live, if they see a dog outside, they come complain about it.
Yeah.
They think that dog ought to be in the house where it's air conditioned. You know, like I said, if you feel strongly enough about something, you complain about it, put your name to it.
Well, that's the guidelines that we need to get to the staff, that unless it comes in, I mean, that's what we need to take up the work session. You know, if the parties are willing to put their name to it, then it needs to be investigated. But what about the parties that go online and put a false name?
It just occurred to me that a way that we can address that as staff is we can try to contact the complainant through their contact information.
And you should,
And if we're not
get
able
additional
to-
information.
How many
we
complaints
haven't
are
in
we
the past.
getting off the website?
Actually, lately, we've had more compliments than complaints.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think this is a huge problem.
Well, it may not be.
There's 2 or 3 people in the city that tend to want to complain about everybody. And
Well, it happens. Yeah.
they just don't want to sign their name to it.
Well, you know, and I'm telling you right now, I agree that every person should be able to face their accused. I have no problem with that. But on the same token, we need to think about these other situations. And if we're comfortable with what we're doing, that's fine.
Well, I don't think staff is comfortable with what's
So what are you doing now? You get a complaint. You get a complaint from a resident now about a neighbor, what do you do now?
We follow up on it, we investigate it, and if we find a violation, we'll cite them. But we'll try to use
You're
our,
writing them a ticket.
yes, yes.
So you're asking us for direction on what to do
Well,
in
is this-
scenarios.
or they make them bring it into conformity.
But most of the time, you're not gonna know anything going on in the city as a staff until somebody complains.
Generally, unless we happen by accident to notice it as we drive by or whatnot,
But I also know this, that y'all are not out driving by every day looking for this.
that is correct.
That's right. So I want everybody to know that y'all are not out here looking for stuff every day. But if a citizen, in my opinion, so I'm gonna give y'all mine real quick. If you get a complaint, this is what I would do. If my neighbor complained about something to me and they come down here and I like them to sign something, say this is what you did, it's gonna bother me a bit. But in order to do that, it needs to be a situation where it can be a letter sent to me that my neighbor has a complaint. Now, that's, doesn't bother me, now, that shouldn't bother anybody. But I'd come down here and find what the complaint is. And if
Well,
I- if I
essentially, the
have-
first contact is a warning. And the first contact is not a.
That's a warning, that's an investigation?
Yes.
Okay, let's put it that way.
It is.
Your warning is after an investigation has occurred by staff, correct?
Yes.
So you're wanting to know what to do then?
No, I was looking for clarity first on whether the complainant has to acknowledge, you know, or there's a written complaint signed or whatever from a valid individual. Do we share that complaint information with the people that we're citing?
It doesn't have to be shared, but if the people ask for it, you know, they have a right to face their accusers. I mean,
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a scenario there.
Mhm.
you know, but there's gonna be situations where you're gonna have, I mean, you're gonna be driving down the road or find a situation that is so obvious that you can't let it go. And your staff is gonna have to, you know, react to it and investigate it. Or you're gonna get a complaint from somebody that they didn't sign their name in, and you happen to be by there, and it's so obvious you gotta do something. I mean, in those situations, I guess the accusers would be the city of Millersville itself.
Yes.
And so as such, just like any other entity, we can bring an action against somebody that's violating codes.
And I think staff knows how to handle that.
Yeah,
I don't think that's the problem.
But if they sign it, then it takes it off the city, like you that. But if they don't sign, it's still within the city. So
Well,
you
the
gotta do
first-
something.
The first thing that happens, like, there was a Bonnie's neighbor carport come up. Well, that individual called me, the first question out of their mouth, well, who's complaining? And if I know, I tell them. And if I don't, I don't. They know it's none of their neighbors, because their neighbors had told them that. So,
But they need not be complaining. If they can't come down here and say, my name's so-and-so, I don't like this, do something about it.
I just,
It needs to be a complaint.
there's instances where you have citizens on this side of the city complaining on citizens on that side of the city. And that, I'm sorry, that citizen on this side of the city has no business being over there. No business at all.
I agree with that.
Or stay at home, mind the business.
Well, at the same time, because this was my neighbor, at the same time, I agree with that, but I have to give this city acknowledgement that, Michael, you went out there and really helped them tremendously. The city of Millersville brought them into compliance, worked with them, gave them time to do that. And as a city, on every situation, I would hope that we would continue to do that with every citizen, and I know that we do.
We do.
So I just want to make sure that that's noted, that even though they were not in compliance, we as a city did help guide them on how to make that in compliance.
There's your answer.
And I believe we need to be able to do that with all citizens on any issue.
Unfortunately, the reality is gonna be that there are gonna be situations where there is not a remedy.
Right,
And
right.
y'all not, we entrust the leadership of the city to the city manager and others on a case-by-case basis. Can that determination not be made? I mean, I'm sure that the police department, they hear rumors and all sorts of things out there in the real world with some things. And I'm sure they look at all of them, but some things are worth more investigation than others.
I would pick up with that.
Can it not just be on a case-by-case basis?
It's gonna have to.
And you can't, it can't be a blanket.
Well,
Yeah.
what I'm saying, the lady that lives next door, the man, woman that lives next door to Bonnie, they put in a carport, they had no idea that it was illegal. They didn't think they was doing anything wrong. They was complaining about. So they come down, they talk to Michael, they figure
The
out.
first thing Michael got him was a building permit, I bet.
Well, they figured out what they needed to get in compliance. And these people were great, they done it, and it looks wonderful. But if they spent a bunch of money to fix something that they wasn't aware that was illegal, and the complainant don't even live in their neighborhood.
Well, I see your point exactly, but one of the things, and I'm siding with Michael on this one. You know, it seems to me that a reasonable person should know that when you live in a neighborhood and you own a home, that when you make alterations to that home, that you get a building permit. I mean, that's something you're taught forever and ever and ever. But maybe
Most of
we
these
need,
companies that sell these things, they don't require building permits. My mother-in-law just had a carport put up.
well, you know, I'm
It's out
not.
in the county. There was no carport. There was no,
Well,
there
we're
was no
within
permit.
the city of Millersville, and so I don't know, maybe we need to educate them some more, but whenever I have lived in a city, if you add a deck, if you add anything, you have to get a building permit, and the whole purpose of that building permit is not to get a fee per
Right.
se, it's to put it on the tax assessor's map and
What
their
is-
drawing, is what it boils down to.
It's not just carports. It's decks, it's buildings, it's pools, swimming pools.
It's everything.
And the pools are one that is really tricky because that's a life safety issue. Because if it doesn't have a fence around it,
You have to have a fence.
then they're violating a lot of code
And
and there could be loss of life.
you know, but I'm saying, to me, a reasonable person should realize that. So apparently, and the reason I use the term reasonable, because that's the legal standard that you use everywhere. So maybe we should just be reasonable and start educating the public more like what Michael had said. But Michael's right, the first step is for some reason. There are people that, I don't know if they don't care to get one or they don't know to get one.
I'd be willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that it's ignorance of
And
the
I would
requirements.
Yeah.
That's how staff looks at it, and we try to be cooperative with these issues when they're brought to our attention. We're not out there with the hammer,
And I didn't think you were, and I didn't, when I see the staff, y'all never acted that way, just like Bonnie's neighbor, you actually helped them out. And on a case-by-case basis, you will help anybody out. But, yeah, I'm like you, Mayor, you know, I don't know what the answer is, but.
I just want the people in the city to be treated fairly. That's all I care about. If we're gonna have people that ride around and check up on everybody and complain on them for nothing more than to agitate or cost them money, then to me, that's not being a good neighbor, it's not being a good person.
Then it becomes his job.
I'll be there, bud. I can.
And I know staff struggles with it, so. I have no problem in staff making their own determination and doing what they feel is right.
Well, and on both sides, I still believe the staff, I still believe y'all can make that decision.
I do too.
You
And I
know,
think
and
you
based
made a
on our
decision.
codes, based on what needs to be done, I mean, I've seen y'all work very hard for both sides in every case. And then on some cases, there's just unreasonable in that case. I believe y'all have good judgment in that. I mean, I still believe I wanna leave them.
So what I'm hearing is the consensus of the board is gonna be to just let the staff deal with it as they see fit on a case by case.
Unless something comes up.
Well, it's gotta still follow the legal guidelines.
I'd like staff to have direction on the whole issue of anonymous complaints versus documented complaints.
I'd say, I think for the consensus that you've heard tonight, you may want to bring it up at the work session next time. Complaints need to be authenticated, signed by the complainant. For us to go out and start making, for our staff to go out and make a formal investigation. Now, if our staff gets a complaint over here at 134 Dewdrop Lane and at 136 Dewdrop Lane, they have to go out and they see a violation of 134, then they're to take notice and investigate that then, you know, and then it becomes the city. Now, that's my feelings, but I agree, there's 4 other commissioners that need to.
What I'm understanding is if you get a complaint that's not signed, I don't get yanked.
I think you need to file it and need to notice.
And we are tracking all of that, whether it's valid or not. We are doing that.
It's just not active. I think that last time we discussed it, you said you could.
Yes, indeed.
I'm just looking at it even from my situation or my new situation. And so, Mark, if you can kind of highlight on that. So let's say, for instance, my neighbor has something that I don't feel is safe in my yard or something, and I'm not that type of person, but I could see where I would want to remain anonymous if I filed a complaint against my neighbor that's next door. Do you follow me? So in that case, when you do want it anonymous, I mean, how do you do that? Do you follow me?
I think we're only talking about code issues.
You're only talking code issues, okay,
Yeah, we're not talking about legal issues. I
okay.
mean,
For-
you never had a dog. that-
Well, for us, you know, we respond to anything dispatch sends us to. And when we respond to things, we don't know who the complainant is. We just know
Okay,
dispatch
okay.
has
Okay,
taken the call and sent us out there.
so that's totally different than a
Yeah,
codes issue. Okay, so if
totally
it's a
different.
codes issue, then yes, then I can see where the complaint needs to sign, because that's a codes issue.
I agree with that.
That's not something that
It's not
is.
like that.
Exactly.
Does that help my, Mr. Barr, does that help?
We'll put it on the
Sounds
work
like it.
session and we'll make it
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Okay,
Also, of course, my understanding is, I know there's no carports allowed in residential district, correct?
It depends on the carport. If they're attached to the principal structure, they would be allowed because the code prohibits freestanding carports. And in fact, it's more specific than that, it prohibits freestanding metal framed carports. In the case of Ms. Coleman's neighbor, they were able to enclose the metal framing with wood trim and then literally attached it to the principal structure, and that brought it into compliance.
So even freestanding wooden carport's not allowed.
No, it would be allowed because it's a freestanding, non-metal framed. So because it doesn't meet the metal frame definition, then yes, a freestanding wooden framed carport would be allowed. All of these carports require building permits. Let's be clear about that. The only structures that aren't required are any accessory structures less than 120 square feet. We do request that you come in and check with us anyway, so that we can make sure that it's being positioned in the correct place as well as anchored appropriately. But pretty much any carport that you're gonna be able to drive a car under, unless it's one of those 4.2s or minis or something like that, will exceed 120 square feet and will require a building permit. So my first comment about let's educate the public about needing building permits is probably the first step in addressing all of these other issues. Because then we can give guidance to the residents and property owners as to what's permitted and what is not.
Because if the city has a permit, then the city's gonna keep up with it. They're gonna follow the permit through the process of start to finish. So it's gonna meet its inspections and it's gonna get its final. And the city's gonna know is it legal or not through that process. And if something's built without a permit, the city locates it, in my opinion, they ought to go back and require the inspections and whatever permit fees are applicable.
And some of these additions are for the homeowners' safety as well as the public or people that use it.
Well, exactly, that's why I say Bonnie's neighbor, she didn't know she needed a permit. She hired a company, they come out and stuck it up. She had no problem in following the law, she just was not aware of it. So they made her aware of it, and she don't like it. So,
But I agree, if it's a code issue, then yes, you can sound like it's something else different than that would be, so.
That is a police matter.
That's
That's separate.
if your neighbor has a big ferocious
Well, I
dog
just
that
wanna
you're
make sure
scared
the
of,
public's
no,
clear on
you
that.
shouldn't have that, leave your house.
Okay, so that's.
But a
we're
big
all-
ferocious carport ain't gonna bite you.
Sure.
Motion to adjourn.
Those people.
Commercial property, you can put a rental car for, correct?
Well, staff has looked at that in detail, and in fact, just the other day, Holly and I listened to the meeting on February 16th, 2016, at the second reading of the residential design standards that amended the code to include the prohibition of carports. And I think it was Commissioner Dan O'Toole who made the motion, because he modified it, and then actually the language was amended in the ordinance that removed the term enclosure or enclosed signs to broaden the definition of carports out there. But the point where I'm getting to is this was an amendment of the residential design standards. And while the conversation was all zoning districts, this specific ordinance only applied to residential design review standards. Now, we've had discussion internally about design review standards for commercial and industrial, which are extraordinarily limited right now, and generally at the discretion of the planning commission when they approve the site plans and the elevations. But we're looking at writing some design review standards for commercially zoned properties as well as industrial, because as a side note, there's concern about tractor trailers or semi-trailers being used as storage and et cetera, et cetera. that at that time is when we could consider including freestanding metal frame carports. And we could even look at that again, if that's the commission's.
Are they allowed on commercial or not?
They are not prohibited.
Are they allowed on commercial that's being used as residential?
The language about carports is contained within the residential zoning division of the zoning ordinance. So I would say, irrespective of the use, it's a zoning matter. Depending upon the property's zoning dictates, in this case, carports.
Perhaps this should be brought up in front of the planning commission also.
The way you read the code, are they allowed on commercial property?
They are allowed on commercially zoned parcels.
Okay, are they allowed on commercially zoned parcels that are non-conforming?
I would say yes, but I would try to dissuade the property owner from doing it. I would suggest not, but I think, and probably Rob Wheeler may agree that it only applies to the zoning class and not to the use.
Motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Say,
Good job.